Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking a deep, layered, and frankly, absolutely fascinating magic system, the intricate art of card creation. If you've ever wondered how raw materials and pure mental focus can be forged into tangible, overwhelming power, well, you're in the right place. Let's decode how this universe actually works.
Okay, let's dive straight into this. How exactly do you turn a thought into a weapon? I want you to imagine standing there completely empty-handed, and by using nothing but pure mental focus, you pull a physical, razor-sharp steel sword right out of thin air. You aren't just conjuring a flimsy illusion here. You are literally fabricating reality through a card. So how does a card apprentice actually pull this off?
To answer that, here's our syllabus for today's masterclass. We'll be covering 1. The basics of card creation. 2. Soul pathways and arrays. 3. Programming magic like AI. 4. Array formations versus cards. And finally, 5. Forging life and spirits.
All right, Section 1. The basics of card creation. To craft even a basic item card, like a simple steel sword, a crafter has to mentally map out the entire forging process. First, you're simulating the exact furnace temperature required to melt the steel. Second, you're casting that molten metal into a highly precise shape. And third, you're mentally pounding and sharpening the blade. If your focus slips for even a fraction of a second, the whole creation fails and the ingredients are completely ruined. It requires absolute pristine mental mapping.
But here's the kicker. A master crafter isn't just shaping physical matter in their mind. They're actually shaping the aura. They have to manipulate the hidden energy of the materials themselves, tuning into a frequency that goes way beyond just the physical realm.
Our protagonist, Wyatt, who is an absolute genius crafter, learned this foundational secret from his parents. As Papa Wyatt perfectly put it, aura is like the soul of the ingredients. One can only feel it with enough concentration and experience, but never see it. Watching his parents create hundreds of cards taught Wyatt that true crafting isn't about just forcing matter together. It's about feeling and guiding that very soul.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. Soul pathways and arrays.
Now, creating a living beast, that is infinitely harder than forging a sword, mainly because it introduces the incredibly dense concept of soul pathways. You are no longer just shaping an aura here. You are wiring a living nervous system of pure magical energy. It requires complex, overlapping circuitry just to keep the creature stable the moment it's summoned into the physical world. To actually manage all that crazy circuitry, crafters use what's called a soul array. Think of a soul array as like college-level magic circuitry. It's an advanced, highly intricate arrangement of soul pathways that is absolutely essential to meet the harsh living conditions of summoned creatures. Without a flawless soul array, a living beast card would just instantly degrade and fail the second you try to activate it.
Which brings us to a major turning point in Section 3, programming magic like AI.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast. The traditional method requires this brutal, tedious manual strengthening and transferring of every single soul pathway. Honestly, it's exhausting work. But Wyatt, he leverages his mutated soul and unique powers to bypass all of that. He basically treats soul pathways exactly like computer code, programming them to function like an artificial intelligence.
Wyatt realized something huge. He noted, arranging soul pathways to create AI and the artificial beast will was different to programming a soul pathway into doing a specific action. Instead of manually arranging a pathway to do just one isolated thing, he realized he could stack multiple actions into a single AI. He's effectively creating self-operating magic. He isn't just building a tool, he's literally writing an operating system for his magical creations.
Moving right along to Section 4, Array Formations versus Cards.
So, card creation involves taking ingredient pathways and stuffing them into an isolated, self-contained core. It's a standalone battery of magic. But an array formation, that uses a core to modify the surrounding nature's existing pathways. To put it in modern terms, a card is like a downloaded app on your phone, but an array formation is like hacking the environment's own magical Wi-Fi network to rewrite the rules of the entire space around you.
Because Wyatt gets this fundamental difference, he figures out a way to completely break enemy arrays. He fuses space isolation magic with space collapsing abilities. By literally collapsing the physical space around the enemy's array, he destroys the natural pathways the array relies on. It's a total hack. He just shuts down the enemy's defenses by breaking their connection to the environment.
All right, time for the grand finale. Section 5, Forging life and spirits. Wyatt decides to go all out and create the ultimate undead summons, the Frostling corpse puppets. To pull this off, he uses straight-up mythical ingredients. We're talking breath of erosion for rebirth, pixie dust for unparalleled nourishment, primordial energy as the very origin of life, and pseudo-ruler class cores for boundless power. These are legendary elements that even god-tier entities dream of wielding, and he's combining them all in a single forge.
When Wyatt perfectly syncs up these legendary materials using his programmed AI pathways, something incredible happens. He triggers a crafting cry. It's this intense, full-sensory moment, a miraculous, resonant hum that physically echoes through the forge. And it only ever happens when the soul pathways are arranged utterly flawlessly.
And this brilliantly illustrates what's actually happening. As the lore says, the crafting cry has often been compared to the cry of a living being at birth. Wyatt didn't just stitch together some mindless zombie puppets. He synchronized the magic so perfectly that it literally sang into existence. He birthed a soul. The proof of this high-level sentience is honestly staggering. The second these Frostling puppets wake up, they don't sit around waiting for a command. Using the AI Wyatt programmed into them, they instantly and autonomously 3D print their own mechanical armor out of glacier silk, which is this wild, superior material made by combining environmental moisture, snow, and plague heat. They're forging their own armor out of thin air, just instinctively preparing for battle. So the crucial point is looking at the stats for one of these creations, Frosella. A 12-star rating, a perfect 100 out of 100 durability with auto-repair capabilities. Plus, she comes with insane effects, the blessing of a native world's will as a child of frost, and an undead spirit that fears absolutely nothing but complete annihilation. For a summoned card, these are just absolute god-tier stats.
Which leads us to a deeply profound realization. Wyatt provided the perfect artificial vessel. He programmed the flawless AI, and he gathered the most legendary ingredients in existence. But the actual spirit of Frosella? That formed completely naturally. It just perfectly highlights the beautiful, wild unpredictability of magic. You can engineer the perfect body, but true sentient life will always be a spontaneous miracle.
It's just an incredible journey, isn't it? Going from mapping the temperature of a basic furnace all the way to giving birth to a self-aware, armored glacier spirit. It really leaves me wondering, if you could program magic itself, almost like writing code, what kind of life would you forge into your own custom card? Think about the sheer possibilities. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into card creation. Keep visualizing, keep learning, and I will catch you in the next explainer.